And these 5 to 10 minutes that we spend in our prayer, we attempt to be good during that time. But we never let the Quran or the Sunnah govern our lifestyle. We'll pray for that 5 minutes, we'll pray for that 10 minutes, 5 times a day, but we will not let these books govern our lives. We hardly remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala outside of these rituals, and sometimes even within these rituals, we do not remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even while doing these rituals, we are thinking about something else. So today we will inshallah explore and try to understand this very fundamental principle of Islam, which is, what is my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How must I live my life so that it is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Now, in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts various surahs in different ways. For example, a surah could start by Ya ayyuhan nas, O mankind. Ya ayyuhal kafirun, O you who disbelieve. Ya ayyuhal lazina amanu, O you who believe. And the Sahaba Ikram used to say that every time a group like that is mentioned specifically, you should be very attentive and listen in very carefully to what is being said to you by the Creator of the heavens and the earth. Because now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing all of mankind, and you are part of mankind. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing those who believe, and you are part of those who believe. So you must be extra attention to it and listen very carefully to what is being said, and register it and implement it. So in the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Ahzab, chapter 33, verses 40 to 43, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, uskurullaha zikran kasira. O you who believe, remember Allah with much remembrance. Zikran kasira, remember Him a lot. And this is for who? This is for Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, for those who believe. Not remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a little bit. And in another verse of the Holy Quran, it actually identifies a munafiq as one who remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala qaleel, a little bit. Zikran qalila, meaning that he too remembers Allah, but remembers a little bit. This is one of the characteristics of a munafiq, one who is rebellious to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It does not say he's a disbeliever or he does not believe. Yes, he remembers Allah, but just a little bit, just barely enough. So the quality of a mu'min is zikran kasira, lot of remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the verse carries on to say, and glorify His praises morning and afternoon. Day in and day out, glorify His praises. Like we say in Urdu, that do something subah sham, which means do it morning and evening. You're doing it all the time, 24/7. You are involved in that practice. And further, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the same verse, He it is who sends His blessings on you and His angels too. Allahu Akbar. Look at the beauty of this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that when you start to do zikr of Allah, kasira, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends His blessings upon you. The angels, all of the angels, send the blessings upon you, that He may bring you out from darkness into light. And He is ever most merciful to the believers. And then the icing on the cake is the next verse, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions their greeting on the day shall meet Him, will be salam, peace. On the day of judgment, they will be met by salam, peace. So peace in the dunya, and you are greeted with peace in the akhirah. That is what the angels will say to them, Salamu alaikum. And He has prepared for them a generous reward. That is paradise. So these are some of the characteristics and qualities of those people who remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly. And one of the other characteristics of the zikr Allah is that whenever it has been mentioned, the adjectives that has been always associated with it, whenever an adjective has been associated with it, the adjective is kasira. It has never been said, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala off and on whenever you wish. Or sometimes it's okay. Every time you're in trouble, do it. Every time you're out of trouble, do it. It has always the adjective used with the zikr Allah is kasira. Do it plenty. Do it enormously. So, the question that we must ask is, that if Allah is sending His blessings upon you, those who are remembering Allah much, and the angels are also sending the blessings upon you, are you receiving them? Are you receiving this multitude of blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is your life filled with barakah and rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Every step you take is full of barakah. Is that the case? If not, we need to think what is going on. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that His salawat, His barakat, the peace of heart and mind, you will get it inshallah. You will come out of darkness and be put into light. Most people, even the Muslims, most of them, you will find them saying off and on that I am depressed, I have a lot of tension, my life is very hectic, I don't find time for this, I have many hundreds and thousands of problems. Doesn't look like that there is barakah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raining down upon them. And this is the state of most of the Muslims, unfortunately, in our time today. And yet, the example is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is willing to give you everything that you want in the dunya and the akhirah. His rahmah, His barakah, His salawat, everything. But we are not willing to go to Him. He's waiting for us somewhere. He's saying, come and get it. I've got all of these things for you. We are not ready to accept. We are not ready to receive it. We are not ready to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is true. He has said He will send it. The angels will send it. But the problem is from our side, we are not doing our part, perhaps. We are not submitting. We do half and don't do half. We are still not sure whether this barakah will come or will not come. We are not ready to bow down before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to His every single wish, command and desire. We are not willing to do it. And that's the unfortunate state. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 152. فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرُكُمْ. Remember me, I will remember you. Allahu Akbar. Remember me, I will remember you. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have just said, فَاذْكُرُونِي, remember me, full stop, that's it. Could we have dared to go against it? We must remember. But look at His blessing and His rahmah. He says, remember me, I will remember you. This is an amazing blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the verse further carries on to say, and be grateful to me for my countless favors on you, and never be ungrateful to me. Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and never be ungrateful for the favors that He has bestowed upon you. So only if we remember Allah, only if we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remember us as well, and in better gatherings than the gatherings that we can come up with. So the idea behind this is that we must become people who do zikr of Allah, who remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly, all the time. In the same surah, in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 165, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something else which is very beautiful. He talks about a characteristic of the believers. And He says, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبٌّ لِلَّهِ. Those of faith, those who believe, are overflowing in their love for Allah. Ashaddu, shadeed love. Ashaddu hubbu lillah. This is the characteristic of the mu'min. That he is shadeed in his love for Allah, extreme in his love for Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a command and he does it as soon as it comes out. He is willing to submit immediately. His love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is extreme. People say extremism is bad. Not in the case of loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is our Khaliq, He is our Malik, He is our Razik. And the verse begins with talking about people associating partners with Allah. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, yet there are men who take for worship others besides Allah as equal with Allah. They love them as they should love Allah. And these partners, normally we always think about idols, some kind of a statue, but this is not it. We've talked about in one of our previous lectures about shirk. And shirk is also associating partners of any kind with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The love that you should have for Allah, you are now giving that love to somebody else. The obedience you should have for Allah, you are now giving that obedience to somebody else. Whether it is a system, whether it is an idea, whether it is anything. Love for Allah is number one. We should be extreme in our love for Allah.